And now we'll do our Q&A for a very intense and amazing set of talks. I'm just blown away, dizzy. Christina.
Hey, I'll kind of work backwards, and I know that there are many people who wish to share.
Yeah.
As it says in God Speaks, there's only one Atma. So when we, read that last section about the Atmas, the differentiation of the Atmas is within the context of false thinking of the infinite intelligence. Also, Ward, that storm that's referred to there, that to me relates directly to the foam.
Maybe.
Yeah, it relates directly for me. That sense of collectiveness before individuation of self, a small s, that sense of how the foam proceeds. Also, then, I don't know if you got it, Ward, but I sent you a primer that is from a physics lecture at a famous university about what wave motion really is.
Right. I know. This is the series of lectures most relevant to that.
Yeah. So waves do not actually move. The molecules of water in a wave do not actually move. They vibrate. And it relates directly and exactly, really, to what Meher Baba is describing here, how it is the ocean that moves, and it is the individuation that drops, or the waves that vibrate. And then
he differentiates between waves and movements.
Exactly.
And in Baba's usage of it, wave, I'm understanding this, that wave is actually one with the ocean, in the same way that the drop is one with the ocean, the microcosm, macrocosm, but the movement is not. So the movement would belong to the imagination and the infinite intelligence lingo.
Exactly.
It's the prana and akash thing, which is all of the imagination. But the wave and the drop are actually the reality. That seems to be the distinction he's making through that section.
Interesting. Well, I think of, I mean, all of us, I've got a body, and when I bump into things, it's because I've moved. So I think of movement as something changing position. That's, in the gross sense. But in this context, in that, what is it, the third stage when vibration begins or movement begins? What is it in that?
Which is on the
there you go. Vibration.
Fifth sky.
To my mind, I think of vibration or movement as the movement of thought. So my mind can go from thought to thought. I can't think about 6 things at the same time. I have to think sequentially or haphazardly. But the movement of thought, that's how I imagine it. As we're looking here, going from the first stage down there to the 6th stage, and then into a body in the 7th stage. These things seem to be the cascade of the movement of thought as it is distinguishing itself and as it's becoming more individuate. And I am curious, and so I actually do have a question. At what point does time and space begin? I'm going to hazard at the 4th stage.
Well, it seems that, I know, relating this to Baba's creation narrative is something that's going to take some real thinking through. But it seems that the clash of prana and akash that initiates the whole evolution creation process in that sense happens when at that seventh stage where energy.
That was my
meets
second thought.
space.
That was my
Yeah,
second
yeah.
thought. But
Yeah.
really, when there's a division,
Yeah,
you would need to have a sense of time and space, wouldn't you?
maybe this is we're going to have further discussions on this
Yeah.
in a session where everybody has also read Infinite Intelligence.
There you go. There you go.
Because Baba hadn't explained this, but you remember how Baba said when the snake awakes, it forms 7 coils all at once.
That's right.
I am thinking that all of this descent, this is at the beginning of creation.
Oh yeah, this happens in less than a second. This happens like instantaneously. First to seventh stage happens like all at once. Yeah, it doesn't go through time. Yeah.
And in a sense, Baba didn't say this. This is my speculation. But if you were to say, well, how much time did it take for Pran to descend to the gross sphere so the creation could begin? Well, actually, it didn't happen at all. It's all imagination.
Exactly.
But when you look back, you can describe a story because such a story must have happened. But actually, it never happened at all.
Right.
We're in that domain of contradictions. But time, in our sense, I should think would have to begin with the appearance of the first Jivatma. I should think. But this is these are huge questions that students are going to have to take up. We really will need to assimilate this book in careful study. And then, as I say, Infinite Intelligence and this need to be brought into interrelation, I think.
Yeah.
By the
Anyway,
way,
it's all fascinating.
But note that all that stuff about the Atma finding a form and the emergence of the subtle form on the second plane or whatever it is, it's exceedingly strange. But it seems like Baba is not talking about advancing souls. It looks like he's talking about these spirits, these angels, their point of view on these higher planes,
Well, they are without the identification that comes from the later stages. So their identification is, we can't even imagine. I mean, you think of an angel as someone who's like looking out for you. I mean, that's not it. They're purposeful in that they have a very limited sense of individuation. They literally would have to be doing the work of God because they would not have any individuation outside of the most rudimentary,
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christina. This is just a fascinating topic. I'd love to spend an hour on it. Mahu.
Yes, my main question, I made a note to myself about the analogy of that palace and about which Baba later on referred that this is the essence of the Vedanta. But before going there, now that you brought this up, Ward, what sections of Infinite Intelligence do you recommend for better understanding at least some part of this book? Can you refer us to a few sections?
The first 11 series.
Before it used to always be
series.
11 series, but I guess now we got it.
First 11.
It's 11. Got it.
1 through 10. It's Baba's explanation of what imagination is there. Also, Baba's explanation of functioning of Ishwar, and there's some very interesting parts in series 10 on that. Did you notice the really curious discussion of Ishwar that came up here? I think it's exceedingly significant. In a series of lectures that are exceedingly esoteric and exceedingly strange all the way through, these may be the 3 or 4 most strange of all.
Yes.
These last ones.
And even the way he talks about it in God Speaks, the Ishwar, that twin state of God. So I guess we just got to relate all this together. He
pretty well says that when the Jivatma realizes God, Ishwar disappears also. So it looks, I mean, okay, that's a huge topic, but it makes me think that we all have a personalized Ishwar. You know?
Yeah, it said it here actually,
Yeah, yeah.
individual and universal. Yes.
Yeah.
Baba said it here in the podium.
This is really quite a big and quite a significant topic. Maybe at Marana we can dig into it.
Okay.
Anything else, Mahu?
No, my main question is about this chart. Actually, the palace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can you just walk us through that one more time, please? I mean, one time, not more time, at least one time.
Yeah, the allegory.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna recommend that we not do that, maybe at the end. Maybe
Yeah.
if we have time left, because we have unusual constraints today.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's my question, Cassandra. However, Ward want to illustrate it, either through this figure or he wants to give a brief. That's my question.
Well, see, the thing is, he gave it the explanation twice and we recorded that. So I hope that'll be helpful. But we really are under a lot of pressure for time, and it's going to take at least 6
I mean,
or
how
7
can we filter these questions, Cassandra? A question is a question.
I understand, Mahu, but
I mean, I can close
we
this
can talk about
session
this.
and go home without knowing what the hell is going
Please
on.
don't take it personally. I'm trying
It's
to.
not personally, it's a method of learning, and I am expressing
and
my concern.
we cannot do
but
that
that's
in these
okay.
talks. We
We're
cannot
just
do that.
out of
Ward knows
time.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. There'll be more occasions for further. I mean, this book is going to be the subject of study for centuries, of course. So this is just opening the package for the first time.
So I guess my question was not answered. Can I ask another question then?
Can we move on and we'll come back to you?
Yeah, as long as you come back to me. Thanks, Cassandra.
If there's time. If there's time.
Yeah, whatever way you want to manage it. I like to ask questions.
Yeah, and you can send questions into Creation and its Causes.
I sent question to Ward, but I guess he
not to
doesn't
Ward,
have time
send them to the mailbox. Send them to the mailbox.
Okay, so I'll wait for my second turn.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Lindsay.
Oh. Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I was struck by the story of the wave as corresponding to the story of the soul. And then I got confused when Ward, I think you said even on the, it would be the 6th stage of the wave, that the, oh, it's not a bubble, it's the Atma. It isn't the Atma there and then finds a form in the 7th?
Yeah, he's not really telling the story of the journey of the soul very much here.
Oh, I know that.
And he hasn't really clearly explained how this does relate to that. That's something we have to work out. He doesn't start bringing up Atma really until towards the end of this whole thing. But it seems to be the descent of Pran. And Pran is entirely of the imagination. It's not real.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but these are the stages by which Pran moves down from the original state down to the growth stage. See, Baba hasn't brought this into relation with his creation narrative, but he does say enough where we can, I think, say Pran clashes with Akash when at the 7th stage, and it must be then that the journey of the soul begins. So this other stuff is logically prior to that, I would presume.
Okay, so my understanding of this is that this all takes place in the imagination, that it all is in the subtle, it's all in a subtle world. And what I'm asking you, I think, is you are suggesting that the drops are spirits, devis, angels. Why do you not take it further than that? Is it because he doesn't say Atma? And I thought he did, but I don't have a copy of the thing in front of me. So help me get that.
Yeah, I know. This is really something we need to spend a whole 2-hour session on one of these lectures to unpack that, because another problem is the text is very jumbled there. So I'm not at all sure that I edited it correctly. I had to be kind of minimally edit a lot of places. But he says at that one point, at the moment of Mahapralaya, these forms are there, the subtle and gross body, the subtle bodies are there. And suddenly Atma has an opportunity to identify itself with a form and get realization. So it sounds like at Mahapralaya, all these, there are all these events, mukti events. So I am guessing that those forms are actually these, subtle, these angels and devas. And it sounds like they don't even have an Atma exactly. If that's the case, that's one of the strangest things in a very strange book. But there seem to be just forms moving. Okay, this is really a topic we would have to spend a whole 2 hours wrestling with that particular lecture. Okay. But it doesn't sound like he's talking about souls on the path of evolution and involution, no, because they clearly have gross bodies and subtle bodies, and they have atmas, no problem there. So it's almost like these last 3 lectures are looking at the inner landscape from the standpoint of angels and spirits, doesn't it?
No, not to me, but that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to be worked out here, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. And Jim Wilson.
No, don't have a question here, but I'm just absolutely amazed at the descriptive language that Baba uses and the analysis that he is going through, and all these really esoteric kinds of things, and trying to put it into metaphors and into language that we could possibly understand this. And I think that part of our process is that we really have to just trust that somehow by working with this and really trying to look deeply into God speaks and infinite intelligence and all that Baba has revealed to us, that this will begin to somehow change the paradigms by which we approach life, the sciences that we have, the knowledge that we have, and, certainly the actions that we will take. If the gross is about action, then certainly it has to change our actions. It's just absolutely mind-blowing to imagine how this is going to play out. That's all I want.
Yeah. One of the huge new spiritual facts that these last lectures seem to be giving us is that there's one of the fundamental characteristics of the inner domain, the subtle world, meaning the whole extent from first plane to the end of the 6th, is a downward movement of pran. Did you know that? Because I didn't. There seems to be a flow downwards to the gross sphere. That seems to be a basic principle or a basic law, as far as I can see. Maybe
else?
That's why spiritual progress is so difficult. You've got to go against the flow.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I have something to read. I don't think I've read this before here. It's from Lord Mayor, online version, page 4845. The infinite, this is Meher Baba, read out loud to by Erich at the East-West Gathering. The infinite state of God gets lost in the infinite jumble of infinite contradictions. Again, the infinite state of God gets lost in the infinite jumble of infinite contradictions. Melissa.
My place in this lineup has been perfectly timed. Thank you for that comment, because what I wanted to speak to was the role of contradiction. And what I wanted to say was that contradiction has come up several times today, and it has come up possibly as something that we would want to solve and resolve. And it occurs to me that for me, that's not necessarily the point of it. The point of it may be to shake up our confidence in our logical process and realize that relying upon the heart and divining the divine meaning in that way is what we really need to rely on. And I guess that's about all I have to say, but I do realize that this is a personal reflection, and there are some people for whom pursuit of those small consistencies and seeming inconsistencies is very important, but not for me. And it's possible that my science background even illuminates that in the way that in science, things are calculated according to models. And so someone calculates a model based on certain assumptions, and it may or may not depict the richness of nature, but they get so attached to their model that they stick with that instead of looking at what's really happening around them. And I think there's some of that here as well. So I am perfectly happy to live with those contradictions, and I value the fact that those are pointed out, and then that jolting brings me, I think, into closer reliance on my heart unto Baba. Thank you.
Very lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
All right, it's my turn. I wanted to tack on to what you just said, Melissa, in that, I read Carlos Castaneda's books many, many times during the 70s. And one of the things that I found in a Spanish translation that wasn't in the original books were the 6 perfect propositions or something like that. Anyway, it's 6 things that he wanted all warriors to understand. The first one was, the universe is a mystery. The second one says, you are a part of that mystery. The third one says, because you're a part of that mystery, you feel compelled to resolve it. And the fourth one says, it cannot be resolved in ordinary consciousness. So, and I know very, very well that Carlos Castaneda's books were believed to be fiction, but I found a lot of useful information there. Anyway, my point was that I agree with Melissa in having contradictions for me is what encourages our minds to expand more and more. And I also wanted to mention that on page 293, that explanation there.
Let me see.
293. Yeah. That explanation, 3 states of rising, 3 of falling, and 1 in the steady state. The whole discussion about movement is almost completely covered, almost exactly what the Buddha explains about movement in the Abhidharma discussions. And I will be reading part of that for you, Ward, when we're on a trip. It's really interesting the way he breaks it down in very much the same way. And that's the only thing I had. Elizabeth.
Yeah, I had a couple of comments, but one question. The idea of the angels and the divas, I think that's discussed in, I think it's in the Nothing and the Everything. I just looked through all the charts of God Speaks and couldn't find it, but they are the ones that get created before the souls with Atmas get created. So they are without the, that's my understanding. So it makes sense that during my Mahapralaya that they could have the opportunity to attach to the Atma and be realized. And Christina made the comment in the chat that anyone who hadn't had the opportunity, or any soul that hadn't had the opportunity, could also do that. Then the movement thing, that the steady movement, I kept thinking of all the things Baba has said about equipoise, how critical it is to have equipoise. And that reminds me of the steady state. I'm not sure how they're totally connected, because I'd have to read it more. And then the other thing, I didn't totally follow the palace analogy because it went too fast. The other thing about the movement, though, Ward, I was wondering if you could go through that part about movement and Ishwar, because that to me was really insightful and a totally new idea, and helps explain the creation, preserving, destroying part if you think about a wave and its aspects of movement. There's a section. Yeah, there it is.
A lot of these topics really do need to get studied in conjunction with infinite intelligence and certain other things. There are certain passages in Baba's discourses where he seems to be espousing a kind of philosophical solipsism, solipsism where I alone exist and no one else exists. Now, in general, Baba is emphatic on, dealing with others and loving others, which would seem to reject the idea of a kind of solipsism. But there are other places where that does seem to be implied. One of those would be Infinite Intelligence, Series 11. Also, the very last quote from Baba in Stay with God is very solipsistic also. So this is a much bigger topic than we can possibly talk about here. But you may recall earlier in this series says, I'm going to tell you a secret. Each individual is his own universe. Remember that? So this seems to be fitting in with that. The movement creates a bubble in the hollow. The moving wave is called Ishwar. Okay, he said the wave is real. The moving wave is the activity of Ishwar within the real. Sagun Brahman, we really would have to spend much more time with this. The movement is a single wave. Take one of these waves and drops at the end of the seventh stage, and here we find the Jeeves. When in the end, Jeev becomes Shiv, that's God realization, right? Shiv is a God realized person. So when the Jeev gets God realized, the Jeev, Ishwar, and the bubble all vanish. So this almost seems to be saying that there's there's a personalized individuality and there's a personalized God associated with it. And at the end of the journey, it all disappears. Anyway, this is a much bigger topic than we can cover here, but we've had many previous discussions at Mirana and other places about that this would relate to, actually. If we can take this literally, is he using Ishwar in the same way or not? Baba will use terms differently. But anyway, I just want to say this is a huge moment and a huge topic.
Can we just read that one paragraph again to kind of?
Well, I read the end part of it. I'm a little.
So once again, I am not.
Never mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I take full responsibility for that. It comes from me.
Well, from me too. We just don't have enough time. I really appreciate. I mean, all of you are starting, to see. A lot of you are seeing some of the questions and huge issues that this is giving rise to, and it's going to take years.
This particular series of the last few ones really generated a lot of energy for all of us.
It does. It's very strange and very esoteric. Maybe the most esoteric part of the whole series.
I wish I could just curl up in the corner with the book itself.
I have one more point, if I may. So all of these contradictions that Melissa brought up, I mean, I think we could also see it as this issue of contrariety that Baba talks about, I think both in Infinite Intelligence and God Speaks, but a key aspect of knowing who one is not to know who one is, ultimately to discover the unity or the Tawheed. But anyway.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank
Yeah.
you. So, Ward, I want to acknowledge your efforts throughout this series, as we all want to acknowledge that it's just been fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
I am dazzled by the whole thing. I think we all are. It's been
Mhm.
a terrific time with people who've attended week after week and have
Yeah,
brought
I
much
know.
valuable insight in their own ways. So do you have any closing remarks you'd like to make before I
Mhm.
the recording?
Well, really, thanks to all of you for having been drawn to this topic and this new revelation of the Avatar. I do think this is a historic thing. The appearance of this material is really a major event, which, you know, Baba's timing is that it comes out almost a century after he gave it. So we're at the baby beginnings of engaging this material. And there's, for people interested in this, there's really a lot of exploration and delving, and it's more than just philosophical inquiry. It's kind of a unveiling of deeper truths and deeper realities that changes the whole constitution of the inner self and the mind. That's what these things, these discourses of Baba's do. And we're at a fortunate moment where this is suddenly burst upon the scene. So anyway, it's been for me a tremendous honor and pleasure to be with you all. As I've said before, you know, I've been working with this so long, but somehow when other people come into the picture, the experience completely changes. It changes for me also. And suddenly I say, wow, you know, people, the engagement of other people really changes the experience and kind of shows what the purpose of this is in the first place. So thank you so much for having followed this through, and I hope we'll have further occasions.
Yes. All right, I'm going to end the recording now.